Okay, here's a short video on how to start up everything in comms when it's completely turned off. Okay, first you're gonna walk over to the rack. This NAS, the network attached storage, or as Morton calls it, the network, stays on permanently, and this stays on permanently. Do not ever touch the power buttons for these at all. Okay, so to turn on the pretty much always on part of the AV rack, you go down to the bottom, UPS, flip open this cover, press that once, it beeps, close the cover. Everything that is not on the power sequencer turns on. You will only do that for breaks. Only do that for like the week-long breaks. Like turn it off and then turn it back on when you get back. Week-long, so Thanksgiving, spring break, Christmas break, summer break, that's it. Next, you need to turn on everything else. So first, you'll need to wait like 5 minutes for the whole Crestron touchscreens to turn on, since that needs to activate the power sequencer through this wire. The power sequencer is this. Anytime there's a power outage in the rack, not just you turning it off at like full power outage, this automatically flips to its off state, so no lights are on. So you can either press the on button here and then it will tick on everything else, or just wait for this. Normally when you walk in here today, that will already be on and you just press the power button there. In here, what you need to do, even though we don't use this often, open the cover, press that on, it will turn on, and then you can flip this switch up here to on. That will keep everything with the power sequencer going. Everything else in here pretty much is controlled by the power sequencer. The power sequencer turns on and off outlets basically. So next what we're gonna do, turn on the light board. The light board under here, it has that power outlet's called constant power. That means that the light board always has power. So what you do for the long breaks, you just flip this switch back here to on, and then the light board should turn on. Normally, when you do the shutdown sequence, to run it, you can also press macro 759 enter. Press clear before that. Macro 759 enter. To turn stuff on, you'll have to press this button once to actually turn it on. I believe it's turning itself on right now. You won't see anything on the screens because of that power sequencer for how it turns stuff off. Because this has volatile memory where it doesn't autosave everything. The soundboard, on the other hand, saves every 10 seconds, so it can be powered off whenever. Okay, now that our little Crestron touchscreen's turned on, you can press, hang on. Oh, it's thinking. Just give it a minute. Now, this is the network rack for the lighting network. So, because this was just a storm, I believe when the UPS dies, it stays permanently off. So, just press that once to turn it on. You have to press in hard. Now it's flashing. Okay. That's good. This you only turn off during the long breaks that I mentioned before. You turn it off just by pressing that power button. And then you can close this. You're done. Okay. Now back to the touchscreens. Just give it a second. We'll get this show rolling. So since that power button's not working, you can just press this white switch up here, up, and now everything's turning on. So over here, day to day, you can keep this switch all the way on. That power gives power to your monitors here, the monitors here, ClearCom, and then your remote control units. The power sequencer is plugged into this, so just leave this on and just use the power button there to turn everything off. So now power is being supplied to your control surface. The only thing day to day that doesn't turn back on, so what you do, end of day, you leave all of the monitors on. You'll switch at the bottom, you leave them all on. They turn themselves back on if they were left on. So when you power off, which powers off all of this, when it powers back on, it will turn back on unless you turned it off before. The TV is the only thing that you need to actually turn on, and then it will turn on. So now while we're here, the only thing in the rack that's separately turned on, sort of like the light board, is TriCaster. So then you need to turn on TriCaster. Streamer turns itself on because it's on that power sequencer. Same for these monitors because they were left on last time they were on. So now into the studio. All the cameras will be unplugged. Power. So you just plug back in power and they should be good. Teleprompter here means teleprompter. Teleprompter here is actually for the video input from the camera. That's on this first floor plate. Same here, that's camera, and here HDSDI means teleprompter. Same for power here. I don't know if it will still be like this when you get here, but camera 3's power is ran up above, and it goes over here, and you plug it into this outlet. Pretty much everything in the studio that is not plugged into one of these black plates that is numbered, since these are lighting power ports on the lighting network, those will all be turned off when the light board turns off. In here, you have your breakers for it. This may be turned off, so if you're trying to control your relays, turn this back on. I'll probably just leave it on, and then all of these should be fine. This is the network port RP relay panel, and that's the outlet number. 1 here does not mean 1. See how 1 means 12, outlet 12. A bit confusing. Now all of that has booted up. You'll see the light board here. TriCaster, yada yada. Okay, so now we can turn on the cameras. You already know how to do this. Turn on. Turn on. Another thing, we have Karen, technically Karen 2.0 from SpongeBob reference. Its power supply right now is just ran over here. And this provides power for the MacBook, the wireless receiver, and the monitor. So now let's turn on all the lights. You can click the on button here. And then think about why it didn't work. Confirm that your network switch is up. RP relay panel. It's getting signal here. The issue was probably because the light board was turned on before the network switch. So you have to do the network switch first, give it about 5 minutes to turn on, and then turn on the light board. So now we did that shutdown sequence. It didn't seem to go. Shut down. Yes, it's parking everything there. Now it turns off. And then normally, you'll see in a second after its Windows shuts down. This button is off. Those say no signal, put themselves to sleep. So this is how it normally be day to day. Button off, just press it, power it on. Back here, this thing's a bit weird. There's a fan unit. You can press power, it turns on. Press fan to 2 because that's pretty quiet. Press UV, so now it has UV, and then press and hold lock. You can leave this on all the time, like even over break, just so it has some airflow moving through it. There's extra filters in the main copy room. You open back panel and just pull it out, replace it. That turns off when it loses power and doesn't turn itself back on. That's pretty much this setup. Your wireless mics are on power sequencers, speakers. There's little lights here so you can see if they're working. Like, let's flip this one off so you can see. You see how that sort of lost some. Yeah, barely. Mainly because I have a flashlight on. Soundboard turns on. Light board's back up, so now click on. Yep. The issue was the light board didn't know how to output its network through the Ethernet port, which is SACM, scanning ACN. So it didn't know to configure because this wasn't on. So now let's gently tuck these wires. Back here. Around here there will be or somewhere there will be a place that has my phone number, so any future students can text me or call me or text or email me. I don't care how far it is in the future. I'm not showing that on video for obvious reasons. So our cameras are up, perfect. Our routing should be up. I'm gonna make a preset save of the salvios, which is basically just a save of everything. You should know how it works. Oh, now that all the lights are on, we can just press go to Q1. Everything's there, lighting wise. Next, come over here to sports TV, plug this in to these ports since this stays on. The remote is taped here, leave it here. The remote is taped here, leave it here, it reaches. Leave this here, this is a broken SDI cable. It's coming out of router out 8, so it's not actually that teleprompter that it says it is. Cable's draped up here, taped here. Do not unplug this for flash drives. You may be tempted to, except the next time you try to use it, there's no power to the converter, so it won't work on the TV. Just a little food for thought. The Mac back here should be unplugged down there. It is, so you can plug that in. And then this Ethernet cable, this is how the server is connecting to district network. It's sort of just a jumper. Leave this connected. Do not unplug this. I think that wraps it up. We can go through the shutdown sequence for day-to-day stuff.